the contact name that changed at 9:10, the night my phone decided he wasn't home. At 9:10 p.m., my phone told me he wasn't mine the way software tells the weather, politely, with metrics. I wasn't looking for anything. I was rinsing tomatoes, the window reflecting back the plant pretending to be alive and the oven pretending to be mercy. He'd left at 8 in the jacket that flatters him even when mirrors get evangelical. Wrap toast, he'd said, 2 words that turned celebration into minutes on a calendar. Then notes with Alex. Don't wait. Alex is sound. He carries microphones like small animals with sudden teeth and listens like air that knows court stenography. The cinnamon thing in the oven exhaled for the apartment in a language I was tired of translating. I picked up my phone to set a timer and saw his name at the top of my screen, alerting itself without my permission. Not a message, a contact card. Suggested update. Do you want to change Mateo home to Mateo Studio? Underneath the neat betrayals, pulled from recent addresses, recurring locations between 8:45 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. Wi-Fi networks joined, a tasteful little map that knows what alleys mean after 9. It was the kind of administrative coup love never expects to mount a defense against. I tapped it and felt stupid about the verb. The card opened like a confession. Last visited Studio A, Rue du Chevet, 9:01 p.m. Frequent connections, sound stage 5G. Note added to calendar. Wrap, notes with Alex/A. Private automation turned the world amber. Driving focus right arrow on, notifications to watch. The CSS even had the gall to be attractive. I turned off the oven so Mercy would stop pretending to be useful and walked to the door with a dignity that didn't need shoes. Our building's lobby smells like lemon and patience. I didn't take the elevator. Mirrors do a tone I don't want to hear. The night outside had picked a temperature and stuck to it, which felt like advice. The studio sits behind a gate that pretends not to favor certain names. The intercom listed letters instead of professions, which meant the future had a sense of humor tonight. A for Alex. I pressed. The buzz was a small agreement. Inside, a corridor with concrete walls kept its secrets like a sport. Studio A had a glass top half to its door that renders silhouettes into kindness. I saw him before I saw him. The body I know arranged around a table the way familiarity arranges itself around danger. He opened the door with fingers he had rinsed for manners. The room smelled like cables and late coffee, the clean ache of work pretending to be intimacy. Alex stood at the console with both palms on the desk like men do when they have learned how to hold silence without wrinkling it. He looked at me the way professionals look at fragile equipment, willing to be responsible, but making you sign first. Aaron, Mateo said, my name with the softness of a receipt. Your phone insists on a promotion, I said, because humor is the leash I use to keep panic from bolting. I lifted my screen. Suggested update. Home, right arrow, studio. Under the light of the console, the map tried to be helpful. Alex's mouth observed a rule I didn't know I'd agreed to. No apology without an invoice. I can give you to the room, he said. Logistics, not martyrdom. He reached for a fader as if lowering the noise floor on our evening and ghosted toward the hallway, leaving the door to practice soft closing. Not here, Mateo said, eyes flicking to the puck of glass in the corner pretending to be a sculpture. He tipped his head toward the stairwell at the back that nobody who isn't staff uses, the one that opens onto the useless little terrace where the city dumps its spare sky. There's air. The terrace was a rectangle of concrete with a railing that had survived better promises. The night leaned on us like a witness with nothing to gain. He wrapped his hands around the metal and looked up the way he looks at waveforms when he thinks they're lying. I lied when I left, he said. He doesn't waste adjectives when he intends to be correct. Rap happened. People tried their best grammar on goodbye. I wanted 30 minutes where being interesting didn't have to pass inspection. Alex asked one smart question and I mistook quiet for permission. Are you sleeping with him? The question is a cliff. There isn't a scenic route. You count to one and make your mouth earn its keep. Not yet, he said, clean, immediate. Then lower, the honesty that knows exactly which muscle wants to bruise. I brought my mouth. Wind walked between us like a suggestion. I stepped closer because cold is an argument I know how to win. I lifted 2 fingers to the soft inside of his wrist where men keep their apologies and felt his pulse write my name there without permission. His eyes closed like doors that expect hands. Under my palm at the small of his back, where his body keeps its best arguments, heat had already made a down payment. My hand remembered the route. You like wanting that proves something kindness can't, I said. I didn't make it cruel. Cruelty is lazy precision. You treat intimacy like a sport and honesty like off-season training. You like to coach, he said, mouth tipping toward the better room, which is unfair and also why we still have furniture. What do you want? I asked. Right now, not the apology you drafted for daylight. He stepped into the inch that becomes a lie if you respect it too long. Heat moved through cotton like a fact that doesn't need witnesses. He spoke close enough that punctuation found my lower lip. I want to go home, he said. I want you to want me where our towels remember us and where my name stays home. We didn't kiss under a camera that knows where the cloud lives. I pressed my thumb at the hinge of his jaw, the place truth rents, and turned us toward the stairs because metal has better manners than glass. Back in the studio, Alex had left his jacket and absent-minded competence. The console kept breathing like a machine that pretends not to care about the plot. We didn't, Mateo began. Don't rehearse for a jury that isn't here, I said. Finish sentences in a room that knows our nouns. We walked home through a city that had stopped performing. The cinnamon had waited longer than love should have asked. We ate it at the counter with our fingers because forks would have lied. He leaned into the drawer that sticks, the posture that means he is willing to be moved and wants me to be precise about where. I slid my palm under his shirt and found heat like an address that still prints both our names on the mail. He tipped into me, gratitude giving him weight and accuracy. We were careful in bed, not the kind of careful that kills heat, the kind that knows where to fold it so the room won't have to testify. He knows where to set his hand on my ribs so the rest of me turns without issuing a press release. I know where his shoulder hides when it runs out of brave, and how to coax it into telling the truth with weight and breath, and a mouth that has stopped trying to rescue him and still wants him. I won't draw you the choreography. I'll tell you the room remembered to breathe and morning forgave us because it had other work. We slept like people who aren't finished. Light shouldered the blinds with the confidence of a suggestion. He made coffee the way he does when he wants me to listen. The contact card lived between us on the table like a witness who didn't understand jurisdiction. I tapped ignore and the phone rewarded me with nothing. No badge, no confetti, just the decency of being quiet. He started with small truths because small truths keep larger ones upright. I like how Alex listens, he said. I liked feeling like quiet was an answer. I wanted to try a sentence without our history editing it. He looked at the phone as if text could apologize. He didn't want to be the sentence. He told me I was saying it in the wrong room. Do you want to be here? I asked, making sure the verb agreed with the person. Yes, he said. To be boring with you on purpose. To put heat where the towels remember us. To stop acting like the interesting version of me is the expensive one. We made boring plans because boring is how lives stay edible. We turned off improve contacts on both phones, and renamed each other manually like adults who know their handwriting. We deleted saved studio Wi-Fi networks and set our home as the only place devices are allowed to perform intimacy without consent. We wrote a rule on the back of the grocery receipt and taped it inside the cupboard. If one of us craves 30 minutes of attention from someone else, call it craving, not crisis. Walk it by the river. Spend it on pastry mean enough to bully the mouth into silence. It isn't romantic. It's maintenance. It's oil for the hinge that keeps the door from learning to shout. 2 afternoons later, I saw Alex in a lobby that smells like ambition and lemon, the city's favorite lie. He gave me the nod men use when they've chosen to be furniture on purpose. He didn't apologize and I didn't deputize. We stood under a poster for a show promising to rescue strangers in 98 minutes. "I'm not chasing a medal," he said. He kissed me once. I told him he was saying the sentence in the wrong room. I like my bed for sleep and his mornings belonging to you. "You could have said nothing," I said. "You could have believed worse," he answered. "This is cheaper for everyone." He glanced toward the street the way engineers glance at load-bearing beams. "You don't need my testimony, but if it steadies you, nothing worth deleting happened." "It steadies," I said, and found that it did. Not absolution, but a floor. A week later at 9:10 again, as if the hour had applied for tenure, my phone tried to be helpful. Suggested update, add work address for Mateo, home, the pleasures of automation. I clicked no and added a note in my own handwriting app. Mateo is not a field. He saw it across the table and smiled the small, true smile that moves furniture without making noise. On certain nights when the city forgets to be clever, his mouth finds mine with the urgency thunderstorms claim and the patience laundry requires. We stay just on the lawful side of the line because good heat doesn't need choreography to be true. When it's done with us, when we are done with it, he rests his palm at the small of my back like a bookmark that has always known the right page. It would be tidy if this ended with me trusting devices less and him trusting me more. It doesn't end. It routinizes. Sometimes my phone still suggests making him a calendar category. Sometimes his phone suggests turning on driving focus when he isn't driving. Sometimes software thinks love is a set of settings. I don't trust it. I trust the square of light at 4 when it climbs our wall like an idea that finally put on shoes. I trust our bowl that catches both our phones like obedient coins. I trust that if any app tries again to write a new name for him, we'll do what we did the night it tried. Find air, choose kissing over theater, delete the suggestion, and keep teaching this door, gentle, stubborn, local, to open from the inside. 2 small footnotes, because lives adore encores. First, I kept the screenshot, the one that says suggested update. Mateo, home, right arrow, Mateo, studio, with a tasteful little map pretending to be helpful. Not to punish us, to remember the hinge where the evening swung. Second, I changed his contact manually to Mateo, home always. Hyphens don't do miracles. Parentheses are merely opinions. But when my hand forgets its job at 3:17 a.m., the word between them persuades it to put the phone down and reach for the person who makes labels ridiculous.